What are you doing sleeping at 7:49 p.m.? It's time to go do some boxes. You gotta get up. Come on, Daisy. Oh well, guess I'll go get them myself. Hey everyone, it's Dominic the Primetime Treasure Hunter. I am back in the garage to do another storage unit unboxing video for you. I have literally not done another unboxing since I did the last one probably about a month ago. So all that stuff is still sitting here. It's just been shifted in terms of position, but we need to get to some of that stuff because it is selling really well. I mean, almost every day an item that I got from that storage unit sells. So I need to get more stuff of it listed, which means I've got to get more boxes opened up. So I'll show you what boxes I picked out for tonight. Mrs. Primetime is going to help. I'm not sure if Daisy's going to get off the bed at all, but we'll see. All right, so this one here I've had my eyes set on for a while. It was at the bottom of that pallet. By the way, you remember, for those watching my channel for a while, I did have some pallets here. Those pallets are gone. It's been replaced by Mrs. Primetime's furniture projects that she's working on. So anyway, so this one I want to go through. Miss Primetime's not too interested in these, but I want to get these out of here and get these up and listed. So I'll primarily focus on these, and then I'll grab one of these boxes of comics. And so Mrs. Primetime will work on sorting these and pass some over to me. So we'll go through everything. It's a big box here. Maybe I'll take the smaller one here. We'll do this one. You never know what we're going to find. The last time we did this, I think, is when we found New Mutants 98. And that one sold for $175. And you just never know what's going to be in these boxes. So let's grab another one and make some room. Hey, Daisy, this isn't going to work. You can't be in between all of the boxes. Now, Mrs. Primetime has already started taking all the comics out of this box, and I'm going to, with Daisy's help, hey Daisy, you want to lift this up for me? Come here, let's take that paw. Let's take that paw and lift open the box. We're going to open this box right here. She's like, get away from me right now. This one has mostly books, as I showed you before. So I really don't know what's in here. I do know, because I did see before, unfortunately, that this one has a tear on top, which unfortunately is going to obviously affect the value on it. So, but maybe I could do something creative like, you know, add value for customer by combining the DC Comics Encyclopedia with the Marvel Comics Encyclopedia. And if you've never seen these before, they are great books to have just for reference if you are new into comics and you're trying to learn about all the different characters and stuff. This is a good kind of handy reference to have just for that. So you know, I have a couple of these hanging around upstairs just for my own personal use, but they're really cool. They're really, you know, great coffee table books. But you know, just wanted to kind of pass that on to you in terms of that is how I you know, will kind of think of things. If I have something damaged, I'll try to figure out, is there a way I could kind of salvage it by, you know, doing some kind of combo package with somebody. So, all right, that's those two. Hey, one other thing I wanted to pass on to you, by the way, and it's not just about comic books, but it's just about a certain publishing company that I love. I love to look out for them. It's DK. Anything done by DK, I would look into and check comps on it. So it's very easy to identify based on what I just showed you. And I was showing you the Marvel one, but the DCs are set up the same way. See, all of their books are kind of really artistically laid out very well, very appealing, very eye-catching, and they do educational books, they do cooking books, they do all sorts of books. I'm not saying they're all valuable, but I'd say to look into them just because of how well they're done. DK. Okay, so the exciting thing about this box is that most of the spines are not showing, so we will discover what's in there together at the same time. But I'm going to start with some that I can see what the titles are. And this one here is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's a hardcover book, and I've done very well reselling these. If you remember, I've shown some of these in prior videos, not this exact book, but ones that are similar to it. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with these role-playing game books, they're usually thin books. Sometimes they're thicker if they're hardcovers, and they basically go over a fantasy based storyline inside the book, and they tell all sorts of things about adventures that people could go on, and they're very, very popular, especially the Dungeons and Dragon ones. So price does partly depend on condition and rarity of the book. So if I open this one up, one of the things you're going to see here is that there's you know, it looks like some little smudge marks and stuff, and sometimes people will think that, you know, when they're sourcing, that this means that they shouldn't get the book because this is on there. But what a lot of people don't realize is that if you just get like a piece of like a paper towel or something, I always keep this handy when I go through these books, is that you could just wipe it down like this, and look at that, it just goes away. So all you got to do is just wipe it back and forth, and you could do that with the inner pages as well. This is just give you a sense of what it looks like inside of these things. And the good thing is we're not seeing a lot of smudging and stuff. There is some wrinkling to the page, and that is due to moisture exposure. It's not severe, but it does have to be disclosed. You do have to mention it, and I would advise taking some pictures that show some of the crinkles in the pages, so you don't have to deal with a return, or you can minimize the effective return. Now look, here's a good example. Here you could see that there is some of these smudge marks right here, these dirt marks or mold marks in there. What you've got to do is you just got to wipe it like that, and it will come off. It will wipe off. See that? You know, fortunately, that's not on every page, or it would take a while to do that. But, you know, I've done it before on smaller books, and it usually takes like, you know, 5 minutes or so. And it could be worth it, you know, for a book that you could flip for like, you know, 20, 30 bucks. Just, you know, go through it for a little with the paper towel. Just wipe those marks right out of there. Okay, so let's see what else we've got here. I do see something Star Wars, and so that is cool. Star Wars Fragments from the Rim. Again, one of these role-playing game type of books. You know, you could see a lot of black and white drawings inside. This is very classic for, you know, for a role-playing game type of book. Looks like it's from the 80s. Oh man, see, this is what stinks, is when you get these stains like this, and this is a pretty bad one. You need to disclose it. It, you know, really might hurt the resale value of this book individually, and may have to be paired with something else. This is the problem sometimes with buying in lots, is that you're taking the bad along with the good. So, and you could see we've got it here as well. So definitely have to disclose this. Now, what I would do is mention in the ad, as long as we don't have this throughout the majority of the book, which we don't, you know, I would just say the majority of the pages are not affected by that stain. It's mostly on the inner cover and the first couple pages. So sometimes that works, that flies, and someone will still buy it. So just FYI. Okay, I'm laughing because I actually have to redo a scene. I do want to tell you about these werewolf books. If you ever see these, you should pick them up because they do resell well. It's just I can't show you the front cover because it's so crazy, and I might get kicked off of YouTube if I show it to you. So if you're interested, you could go look it up, but I would warn you that if you you know, don't like things that are shocking, just don't bother looking it up. But it's the Book of Worm, W-Y-R-M. I got to look up and see what this thing goes for. All right, max value on it would be like 16 bucks, so it's not like it's worth a fortune or anything like that. But anyway, I've sold a lot in these werewolf series, and they sell well. There might be a few more in here as well, maybe some with a safer cover. And what are you doing over there? Observing everybody? Being like a boss? All right, so I see another Indiana Jones book here, which is a good sign. And this one is not a hardcover. It's a softcover book, and this is a good one. Let's see the year on this one. There's no significant staining or anything on the inside of it, which is good. This is a 95 book, but this one is quite rare. This one has sold recently. I just looked it up, $57. And the only one who currently has this listed is someone has it for $100. Now, no watchers on it because they overpriced it, most likely. But you know that it sold recently for 57 is a good sign. So you know, with only one other person who has it up for 100, it sold for 57. Good price point for me is about 75 bucks. I would list this book at and hopefully get it. And you know, this is what I'm talking about with earlier, where we had this book here that had some stains inside of it. If I can't get every single one of them out, or you know, even if I do get them out, we're still gonna have some wrinkling. Well, guess what? I'll take this one and I'll couple it with this one and charge 100 for that. So that would be a good deal for somebody. Oh, wow, this is awesome. I am seeing something here that brings back some really, really good memories for me. I'm gonna share that with you in just a second as I pull this out. This is Elfquest Book 2. So the reason I love seeing this and that it brings back such good memories is that a few years ago when I started to get back into purchasing comic collections and flipping them on eBay, the very first collection that I purchased was at a garage sale on a Friday morning at 8 o'clock. I walked into the house and I saw in the garage that they had a whole bunch of these Elfquest books just stacked on the bottom. And I asked if they were for sale along with the other comic books, and she said yes. And I realized the value of them. They were actually signed ones, signed by Wendy and Richard Pinney, and they went for a ton of money. I mean, some of them went for like $100 per book. And these books are hard to find, these older Elfquest books. Now, I doubt that this one is signed. It doesn't look like it's one of the signed limited edition ones. I would say that right here. But it's still a nice older Elfquest book. It's got to be from the 80s. So let's see. Yeah, so 1982. So that's perfect. I would expect this book to at least clear 50 bucks, maybe more. So this is a good be on the lookout item. Anyone who asks me, what type of book should I look for? Definitely vintage Elfquest. It has a huge fan following, and these are what the characters look like here on the back. So especially these two here, these are main characters in the series. So just jot that stuff down. A little bit of stain on the back, that's okay. A book like this that's so hard to find. There's only one like it that's hardcover right now that someone's asking $140 for it. So this is definitely a good find regardless of the stains. And before I put this away, I do want to show you the inside of this because these are really nice. These are real. Look at the bright colors on these things. I mean, they are just amazing inside. I just love the art. It's super cool. And this is why these are so collectible. The art is amazing. The stories are amazing. The colors are amazing. Still nice and bright, decades later, doesn't matter. This is great too. Sometimes when you get these older books like this and you start flipping through them, the pages will start falling out. So that's a good sign that they're not doing that. And it looks like, although it's trying to hide from me here, that we have got another Elfquest book. And this is book 1. So let's see inside. We've got some more of these, but I could just tell you from experience that this would be something that should largely wipe off with the paper towel right here. So you just, again, just lightly kind of glide it across and it'll take a lot of that out. I mean, not necessarily everything, but it'll at least make it more presentable. So, over here too, see the same thing, just all right, well, this book is actually more common than book 2 is. So given some of the condition issues with book 1, this might be another one of these situations where it's worth combining these two together and just lot them. Book 1 and book 2 together, you know, maybe for like $100 or something like that. And, you know, that should sell as well. You know, so already just in this little stack here, we should have a few $100 worth of books just there. And, you know, we haven't even touched the majority of them in here. Now, these two here are made by a company called White Wolf, and you should look that up and put that name in your eBay listings if you see it, because people will search for that. Now, on the bottom, you can see it says WW. That stands for White Wolf, and White Wolf makes these werewolf and other types of books like this one up here, the Book of Shadows. But this one I could actually show you the cover of, but it's part of this werewolf role-playing game series, and most of them are purple or have like a purple and green theme to it, or purple and gold, but you know, purple tends to be the base color. So just some things to kind of look out for if you're trying to, you know, go through a collection and quickly pick out some of the ones that might have some more value. Okay, another title to be on the lookout for, I've mentioned this in other videos, I believe, is Rifts. That's another popular game, role-playing game, and they're made by Palladium Books. So those are things you'd want to put in your title as well. Palladium and Rifts. Source book, another keyword to make sure you're entering that in there. And I think we have another one here as well. Just move that over to the side. So we've got another one here. Anything that says Rifts, Rift, Rifter, just put these down on your list of things to search for. And if you could, you know, again, put them into little lots sometimes, you know, that'll increase the value of it. So I just wanted to pass this on for those who are new into comics and trying to look up titles, because Miss Primetime just brought up a good question to me as she's sorting them. You know, she's trying to organize them according to title, and she said, you know, what is this one called? Is it Superman or is it Blackest Night? Now, my instinct on it was that it's Superman, and that Blackest Night is the story title, because sometimes there's themes that run across several different books. There's storylines, and you have to buy the books from different titles to complete the story. That's how they, you know, get you to buy other types of titles. But the only way to know for sure is you have to look at the front of the book or the back of the book, where it will actually tell you in the publication information what the title is. And as you can see right here, let me zoom in on it, it says Blackest Night Superman. So that is the actual title. It's Blackest Night. And that's the only way you're going to know for sure. This type of thing could be extremely confusing, and that's the only way to really truly figure it out. Okay, I'm going to start separating some stuff aside, and let's pull this one out. And I like books like this that don't really look like at first glance that they have a cover. I mean, it has a cover, but there's like no real art to it that's obvious. There is some subtle in the background, but that kind of makes it look a little mysterious. Now, it does tell you what the title is right here on the side. It does have some damage to it, but it's a rare book. This book, I believe it's made by, yep, there you go, FASA Corporation. That is another key one to look for. Make sure you write that down. In addition to TSR, which I've told you before, FASA, very important. A book like this, being that it's rare, even though it's a 90s book, this type of book could go for like 35 bucks. So there we go right there, 94. So some of the 90s ones will still sell well. I just like the ones from the 80s and the 70s better. 70s are much harder to find. They're pretty much the Dungeons and Dragons ones. I don't know what this one is here. Let's see. Don't know anything about this one. Mystic Eye Games. Have no clue. If anyone else knows about it, let me know in the comments. But looks kind of spooky and creepy, and that's always a good sign when you see some kind of like demonic creature like that. That's always good. So now looks like we have some things in here that probably aren't worth anything, like this old, well, it's probably not even that old, this gaming magazine, which is damaged. This is just going to be trash. So you're going to get trash in some of these things. Looks like we have kind of like a random comic book that's sprinkled in here. Now that is kind of freaky. The Succubus Bride. I don't know. What do you think about this, Miss Primetime? This one. You want to add this to your reading list tonight before you go to bed? No? All right. Let's keep going here. Let's see what else we've got. Island at the Edge of the World. You know, when you start dealing with these books, often you start to notice certain kind of, you know, themes with the fonts and stuff. Like, I knew this was a Palladium book before even looking up and seeing it said Palladium, because they use this exact type of staging of the font and of the letters, and the books tend to be around the same thickness like this. So I knew this was a Palladium book. They don't go for a fortune, but you know, you can usually get like 15, 20 bucks out of a book like that. So this one here, I've sold some hardcover Exalted books for some good money recently. So like, I think I sold one that was like 30, 40 bucks recently, but it was hardcover. So this again might be another $20 one. But you have to remember, when you're sourcing these books for barely anything each, you know, 20 bucks here, 15 bucks here, 17 bucks there, once in a while a $50 or $60 book. I mean, it all adds up. This one here, clan book. These clan books do well. Anything with vampires, it's another theme to look for. You know, that's why even this, you know, by the way, D20, if you ever see D20, that refers to Dungeons and Dragons. It's a gaming system that they use. It's the whole modernized system, so it's newer. But you know, so this is like, you know, vampire themed, looks like, and you know, anything like I said that's, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, just, you know, be on the look for. Okay, I'm gonna take the last two out of here on this side, and here we've got Mystic Warriors. I don't know anything about it, but I do know it says D20 on it, and that's a modern Dungeons and Dragons gaming system. Actually, if you remember back before with this comic book, you'll see it there on the top as well. So now you'll know what that's a reference to when you see it out in the field. Some of the books, more of the hardcover ones that say D20 on it, can go for some good money, 20, 30 bucks a book, something like that. And this last one here, I know what this is because I have sold manga DVDs with Tenchi Tokyo in it. So those sold very quickly, and so I'm hoping that the books will sell quickly as well. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's a 1997 book, so it's not super old, but, you know, again, I'm hoping like, you know, maybe like 20 bucks out of it or something. Okay, we're going to go through the rest of these books here, but just to make the video shorter, I'm not going to go in depth into every book. If there's something, you know, special I want to say about something, I'll mention it. But this one here, Into the Horde Wall. Of course, if there's anything you guys know about any of these that I may, you know, not mention, feel free to leave it in the comments. This here, it's some kind of role-playing game. Obviously, it's got the maps and stuff. It's got some stains inside. It doesn't say exactly here, I don't think, what it is from. Maybe somewhere. I'm not sure. I'd have to kind of look through it and figure it out, but it's not immediately obvious to me. It probably came maybe out of a game system set, which, because, you know, normally these would have like a title, like on the top page or something, to say what it came from. Like this would be like an insert or something. Or there'd be a title on the outside, but there's no title. So I'm not sure what this exactly came from. If you know, let me know. If not, I'll figure it out at some point. But let's put that in there. Then we've got some kind of random book here that starts at page 7. And I don't see a page 6 because we got 58 right over here. So it looks like Some pages got ripped out. This is just going to be, you know, something that we're just going to have to junk because, you know, you don't have the cover, you don't have the first 6 pages. No one is going to buy that. Let's see here. You know, something like this. This would be an older TSR book, probably from the 80s. Let's take a peek inside. Yep, for those of you brand new to my channel, TSR, that is a company name you definitely want to pick up whenever you see it, especially if it's from the 80s, 70s. This right here would be like a $15 to $20 book right here. And this is, you know, a classic example of what a role-playing game looks like. They're thin, soft cover books like this that are, you know, generally black and white, or maybe have some blue maps inside of them. But that's pretty much all there is to it. And so they're light, easy to ship. If you get a whole bunch of them for cheap and you're selling them 15 to 20 bucks a pop, you know, you could see why it makes sense, because these are all going to go out media mail. So let's see here. Awaken Alone. Again, these are, you know, these are just some random ones. It looks like this guy just, who had this storage unit, he just purchased a whole bunch of, you know, random role-playing game books. You know, this one doesn't have a cover on it, so we've got to see if we could find a matching cover somewhere. There's 2 of them like that. All right, so this one here is the Marvel Superheroes book with a cool cover on the outside of it. This would be a 1980s item. I know, because I've, you know, seen so many of these before. They tend to be thinner than your average role-playing game book. They usually have maps inside of them, and there should be a booklet inside. So let's take a look here. This feels a little bit thinner, and that's because looks like we just have a map with no book. The book, it could be sitting around another box, or it could be from one of the prior boxes that I set aside that had Marvel Superheroes. So we'll have to go match it up, hopefully later. And just pull some other ones out of here. That's the D20 system again for Dungeons and Dragons. All right, let's see what else we've got. Fall of, I don't even know how to pronounce those letters. It looks like Malachim, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about that book. This one here, this is cool. This is an early Dungeons and Dragons type of book. It's some kind of fantasy supplement. I really like the coloring of this. This has got to be a 1980s book as well. Let's see if we could figure that out in here. It's got to be here somewhere. Let's look on the back maybe. Nope, doesn't say it back there. Where does it say the date? It's got to be 1980s, but this would be like a $20, $25 book. Oh, it looks like there's a page here I'm not flipping. There we go. Yep, 1982. There we go. So it looks, you know, very similar to the other role-playing game books with these, you know, gridded black and white maps inside of them. You know, and characters, they all kind of, you know, look pretty similar once you see enough of these books, you know, demons and all that kind of stuff. But again, this would be like a $25 item right there. Let's see what else we got here. And, oh, there we go again, TSR. Awesome. Again, anytime you see these old TSRs, this has got to be a 1980s book. You could just tell from the feel of it and the look of it and the art that this is 1980s. This is probably another $15, $20 book. Let's see what else. The Marches. Don't know anything about that one, and don't know anything about Steve Jackson Games. You know, a lot of companies were trying to cash in on things. This is, if there's TSR again, you know, maybe a $10, $15 book. I only say that because there's not like a demon on here. There's not like a, you know, a dragon or some, you know, obvious fantasy type item. It's just some guy standing in an alley somewhere. So that one doesn't really jump out to me. Let's see here. And this looks like a werewolf one. Yep, there we go. See, it's purple, and it says WW for White Wolf. So that's going to go with some of those other werewolf books that I found earlier. So I'll just put that over there. This is the type of thing that I was looking for that should have went in that Marvel book that I showed you earlier. Where is that thing? Let me get that out. Look like this. This is the type of thing that should be inside of one of these folders, but it's missing. This goes to something else though called Night Moves. So although, you know, it's interesting, this says Night Moves and this says After Midnight. So I'm assuming they are different, but I will look into that to make sure that I'm not mismatching things. But normally this title should match up with this title. So I don't know, put that aside as well. Okay, sometimes you got to do research into these things to figure this stuff out. Don't know about this one. There's the Steve Jackson games. And you know, if I find out that one of these Steve Jackson games or two of these Steve Jackson games things aren't worth a lot, again, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to combine them together and make a lot out of them. There we go. White Wolf again, WW. So you're starting to learn this stuff as you're going through it with me. If you don't have any familiarity with these things, this will, you know, again, help you when you're out there and you're trying to find things too. This is The Dragon and the Bear. It's a thicker book, you know, probably like a, you know, again, $15, $20 book maybe. $2.75 medium mail, maybe $3.27 if it goes over a pound. I don't know what this one is right here. Doesn't have an obvious title here. Oh, it says Earth something on the inside of it. Let's see. It's FASA, so that's a good sign. Anything with FASA I mentioned earlier. It feels more like a 90s book. Let's see. Yeah, 1993 right there. See if I get that on there. Yep, 1993. A few more to look at, and then we're done with this box. Just again, oh, we got a Star Wars one. This is a more traditional one though. It's much thinner than the other red book that I showed you earlier. So this again, like a $15, $20 book, especially, you know, in the condition that it's in. Let's see, a couple more. Dream Chipper, just kind of random. Not a lot of people are gonna be looking that up. Same thing here. So some of these things you're gonna have to wait for, you know, some kid that was playing Cabin Fever when he was younger and he's looking for it now, you know. It's just not going to be something that a ton of people are out for. And looks like here we've got some damaged items too. So overall, not bad. It's kind of what you would expect for one of these boxes. I think the highlights of the box for me were these Elfquest books. This is what I am the most excited about. There's some other things in there as well, like the Indiana Jones I like, and I like some of these Marvel superhero things, but to me, that's the big score, especially this book right here. I think that's the best one. Okay, so this is the result of Mrs. Primetime's work while I was going through everything with you. That's the box. She emptied everything out of there, and she put everything into these little stacks according to alphabetical order. So I'm going to go through all of those and just, you know, see if there's anything that I want to point out to you. Miss Primetime is going to go up to sleep right now, and Daisy is going to head up as well because you are tired. Say good night to everybody, Daisy. Bye. Okay, well, there were 4 trade paperbacks that Mrs. Primetime found in that box that she sorted. We've got Classic Punisher, we've got Nocturnals, Resident Evil, and the X-Men Asgardian Wars. This is the biggest one, as you can see here. These are basically collections of previously published comic books into one storyline. So this is obviously a lot of books, whereas this one here is only 2 books. And they're very popular trade paperbacks amongst collectors. Of the ones that you see here, there's nothing here that's worth a ton of money. You know, maybe like 10 to 15 bucks. Maybe max this one out at like 20 bucks or so if you're lucky. Just depends on what's on the market. Sometimes you got to combine them with other books, like I've mentioned. Now, even though none of these books are worth a lot in and of themselves, you have to remember that a lot of people search for X-Men, a lot of people search for Punisher, and a lot of people search for Resident Evil. Not so much for Nocturnals, but if you can find other books or items related to these titles, these are good throw-ins with them that you could, make these package value deals for people. So, sometimes it's worth holding on to them for that reason if you're in the market for this type of stuff. Okay, so everything that was in this box of comic books and was just in those little stacks that I showed you that Mrs. Primetime sorted, I just moved them into this box that has this flap that we could close over the top. It's much sturdier than the other box was. And, it's kind of good news, bad news. I mean, the good news is that there are a bunch of titles in here that people know, could identify with, and are popular, so it's not total junk. The problem is that they are, fairly new books, so they're not ones that, are the real older 10, 15, 25, even dollar issues. They're not the ones that people are going to pay the high money for. But the goal here is just going to be to integrate a lot of these books with other collections that I have and then make sellable lots. So for example, popular titles that I would be looking for would be Amazing Spider-Man. So there's a bunch of those in here. Let's see, we've got Avengers, very hot right now because of the Avengers Endgame movie. Batgirl, another very popular one. We've got Batman books in here. So, we've got a lot of the big characters, Batman and Robin. We've got, let's see, who else do we have here? We've got Brave and the Bold, very popular comic title, which often featured Batman in the original version of that series. We've got Captain America here, popular through the Avengers, so that's good to see a bunch of him. I know that I saw earlier that there should be some Black Panther. So there we go. We've got a Black Panther there. I know there's some Cable here as well. That's another popular title. So let's see if we can find the Cable books, because I know that I saw that earlier. There we go. So we've got some Cable. So that's popular. We've got Catwoman. I may have said that earlier. Civil War. So more Avengers. So, there's good things here to form foundations with, and that's how I look at it. You can't look at selling everything from just one individual box and pretend that's all you have. If you have other stuff, combine it together and make nice lots. Same with this one Fantastic Four. I'm not going to just try to sell that one if it's not worth a lot by itself, which chances are this one isn't. You're just going to combine it with a whole bunch of other Fantastic Four books. So combination is the name of the game. Gen 13 is a good series. Unfortunately, there was only one of them there. But Guardians of the Galaxy we've got. That's good. So Hellboy, we've got a couple of those. Okay, so this side of the box is pretty similar to the one that we had on the other side, in that it's a mixture of some popular titles like The Incredible Hulk and Iron Fist, and mixed in with some pretty random titles that aren't as popular, like The Lost Gods or something like that. So, you just look through them and you just see, is there anything here that I could, combine with other elements of my collection. We've got the Planet of the Apes, so that's good. I've got like a whole stack of them in there. So, but again, they're all modern books, so it's gonna make it a little more challenging to sell. There's a lot of Punisher books that I have in this storage unit collection that I just have to integrate together, and there's some more pieces of it right there. Let's see here, just trying to see real quick if there's anything that I really want you to see that stands out. Star Trek, I believe. We also have some Star Wars. Those sell very well if you have good Star Wars comics. So the problem with those, though, is normally you have to have, there's lots of mini-series that came out, so you have to have all of the mini-series elements. It's much harder when it's a bunch of mini-series that you have that are kind of random issues to kind of sell those, because you're just missing so many story points across multiple stories. So it's just harder to sell that type of stuff in terms of those types of lots. Venom, I always like to see anything with Venom in it, so that's good too. Wonder Woman, very, very popular title, so there's a bunch of that in there. And there's also a bunch of Wolverine and a lot of just random X-Men comic books.
All right, everyone. Well, that's a wrap. I hope that you enjoyed the unboxing, and we'll be back to do another one at some point. You never know when we're just going to get the itch to do one. So hope that you enjoyed the video. If so, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are very close to 6,000 subscribers, and come to the Facebook group where we are very close to 10,000 members. The links to all those things are down below. There's also the Instagram account, which is growing and almost at 3,000 followers. So I appreciate all of your support. There is going to be a giveaway for Support That Seller Sunday at my next live show after we cross 6,000 subscribers on this channel. So to be involved in that giveaway, you have to be a member of the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and you need to get in fast because we've got, like, at this point that I'm filming this, like 35 people left to get to 6,000. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, get onto the Facebook group, and then you'll see the rules on how to enter. Look forward to seeing you at the next live show, by the way, which is this Wednesday, the 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a fun one with Val, Hickory Springs, where we're going to go over reselling jewelry and jewelry making. And she's actually going to show a demo of herself making jewelry, and just give you some ideas, especially if you're crafty and artsy and you like doing that type of stuff. It should be a fun show. So make sure you don't miss that. You can set your alert. The link is already up on the channel. So I'll see everyone at the next video. Take care, everybody.